everyone?
Good.
Good? You take your lunch?
Yes.
Okay, so before I start my presentation, I want to do an introduction for myself. So my name is Shu-En, and you guys can call me Shu for short. I'm actually a business owner, and I sell crystal bracelets. So today, I'll be talking about my transition from a rebellious teenager to an entrepreneur. So interestingly, 5 years ago, I actually would have been standing here talking to all of you guys super hungover and super depressed. So actually, before I bore you with my long story, I just want to get to know how are you guys feeling at the present moment. This is so that we can be more in touch with our feelings. So can I invite you guys to scan the QR code?
Take out your phone, scan the QR code, write down your emotion, and we can later choose one or two to share if you want and get yourself a prize.
From Alicia.
So how have you all written down your emotion, your feeling? Not yet, huh? Wow.
A lot of feeling.
And then who wants to share? Can put up your hand. Okay. You can share.
Share. Okay. Sharing about how I feel today right now. Okay.
Right now.
Kind of a neutral feeling. And a mix of a curiosity. The reason because of I get to know. This topic is kind of like very catching. From rebellious teenager to entrepreneur. Let's share the all rebellious stage, and then probably I could be inspired by you. Maybe one day I am the one standing right beside you.
Yeah, I hope for that. I really do.
Yeah, okay. Girl, I'm going to give you one present.
Wow. Thank you.
Woohoo! Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Thank you for sharing. It takes a lot of courage to share. And I just want to share, I also want to tell you guys that she takes a lot of courage to stand here and share her rebellious face as well. It's a lot of courage.
This is my first time,
Yeah.
so please forgive me if I cock up or screw up. So anybody else like to share?
Who wants to share?
I'm feeling great, and then the high full. Grateful.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Grateful because I'm here, enjoying this meeting together with everybody, and seeing how you guys present your body shop to us, and I give insightful input just now. I really appreciate that, and I feel great to be surrounded by yours. Yeah.
We feel very encouraged. Thank you so much. Okay, here goes another super girl. Thank you for sharing the emotion. It's really very thankful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Should we move on?
Yeah.
Okay, so as I share my story, I would like to put up a disclaimer that I understand that there are people here that probably have went through tougher times than me, but I just want to emphasize that everyone's story is different. So when I was 11, I was actually diagnosed with depression, and I was prescribed antidepressants. So as I grew up, I actually didn't understand what depression was, and I didn't understand that depression could manifest into so many more mistakes and traumas that I'll make in the future. I also didn't understand that depression was an ongoing mental health condition that cannot be cured. And I actually found an old picture that I want to show you guys. This is actually what my friends had to put up with on a very regular basis, and this pretty much sums up my past. So during that time, the reason why I drank so much and the reason why I was always drunk was because I was actually working in a club as a club promoter. So for those that don't know what a club promoter means, you have to invite people to go to the club. and then you have to grant them free entry to the club with your guest list. And then when they are in the club under your guest list, you have to constantly drink with them and have fun with them so that they will come back to the club again. So my night routine for literally every Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays consists of me waking up with a hangover and then heading for dinner at home, going to the club, and then going for second round, which will be at another club, and then I'll head home when everyone is going off to work. And Thursdays is what we call chill nights. So basically, my friends and I always play this game every Thursday. We will go to a bar, and we will only leave the bar when one of us gets super drunk. And to be honest, till today, I still don't know who do you call the winner of chill night. But I did find a picture of my friend being either, I don't know, the winner or the loser for chill night, depending on how you guys look at it. And obviously, working there so often, I obviously had no money. I always attended school super hungover, super drunk. I always had close to zero in my wallet. And because of that, to settle my lunch in school, I would bring cup noodles from home to lunch. And even when I was so broke that I couldn't eat, I would never reject a drinking session, even if it means I have to owe all my friends money. It was very obvious that I prioritized alcohol over daily necessities like food. And this actually went on for 3 years. But what I learned from the night scene is that I saw how ugly people can get. And I witnessed a lot of my male clubbing friends intentionally making girls drunk just so they could bring these girls home. I also witnessed many relationships fall apart in a single night. I also witnessed many drug abuse cases and even attended many of my close friends' funerals for overdose cases. But as chaotic as this gets, I realized that the people there, though they make so many mistakes, they are not bad people. They are just broken people. They're just people that needed guidance, just like me. And in case you were wondering, how did my mom just let me drink every single day? But to answer your question, she didn't. But I just did what I wanted to. And like every other teenager, I didn't want to sit through her naggings, so I eventually turned to lying. I actually forged out a church camp poster because I just wanted to drink so badly. And please know that I meant no disrespect. I was just super young and super stupid and desperate to drink. And for legal reasons, I obviously blurred out the details. So please, I hope you guys won't sue me. But the funny thing actually wasn't the effort that I took to design this poster and the effort I took to lie to my mom. But it was the fact that I wasn't even a Christian. But now that I grew up, I started seeing things differently. And I realized that back in the day, I was just super empty and I was super lonely. And I wanted to numb myself with the alcohol and soak myself in this toxic environment filled with broken people just like me. And of course, like what every lonely person would do, I started finding boyfriends in the worst place ever, which is the club. In a span of 1 year, I had 7 relationships, and all of them broke up with me. So for now, I hope you guys can bear with me a little because I'm just gonna start bitching a bit. So this is my favorite part. Okay, so my first boyfriend was actually a guy that I made, a boyfriend that I made while working in a club. So we were always drinking, we were always clubbing. So we end up having no money. And for us to settle our meals, we will always cook potatoes because they're super cheap and they're super filling. And once we fought so badly, he threw me out of his house. So I refused to leave. And I was sitting outside his house. I was begging him to take me back. I subconsciously felt that this is the only guy in the world that would love me. But eventually he successfully did break up with me, so I fell into depression again. A week after my breakup, I met this new guy. But he told me that he couldn't be with me. And when I asked him why, he said that because I was from Republic Poly, I was stupid. He also said that I had no money. He also said that I wasn't pretty enough as his ex-girlfriend because his ex was an influencer. he also said that I didn't dress well enough. So basically he meant that I was not good enough for this guy. And so so my next boyfriend cheated on me, and when I caught him, I was so afraid that he would leave that I actually begged him to stay, and I told him that I would be okay with the other girl in the picture. But thankfully that did not happen. But of course you're not here to hear me like bitch about how chaotic my love life was. But I just wanted to emphasize on how broken and fragile I was. And despite all the disrespect that I was facing from all these relationships, I still fought so hard for them to love me. All because I was so afraid of being alone and how little I loved myself. But to add on, I miraculously graduated from poly, and just a little fun fact, I was super hungover in this picture, and my mom was super pissed off that I was drunk. But anyway, I took a gap year after graduating. And during this gap year, I started looking out for jobs. But because of the lack of my experience, I was declined by all the companies that I've applied. Everyone was like throwing me the big question with, what are you doing with your life? And because of that, I was so stressed and I was so filled with anxiety. I remember that during that time, I refused to leave my house because I was so afraid to take the public transport. I was so afraid that everyone would think that, oh, what is she doing with her life? Why is she like out at 3 in the afternoon? Doesn't she have work? Doesn't she have school? And my anxiety got so bad, I started isolating myself in my room. I spent my days lying in bed crying. And I would always rethink my life, and it felt like my misery had no end. My depression relapsed again. I had no money, I had no job, I didn't want to eat because I felt so worthless. My life was pretty much meaningless, and I didn't bother combing my hair or bathing or leaving my bed. And not gonna lie, but during that phase in my life, I always thought that maybe I was better off dead. So my mom got so worried, she started looking for professional help. My case apparently got rejected by multiple counselors and psychiatrists. But eventually she finally found me a therapist. So my first session with my therapist, she told my mom 3 words. She's a zombie. I was so emotionless and so dead that I had no life in me. But after many sessions later, I became, less of a zombie and more of a human. But obviously the story doesn't end here. On my 22nd birthday, she gave me a crystal bracelet. And you guys are probably expecting me to be like, oh, I happily got married and like I strike 40, I live happily ever after. But I didn't. But I did started reading up a lot on crystals, and I realized that these crystals have so many healing qualities, which were also scientifically supported through a lot of research that I've done. But I'm not here to promote my business by telling you that it cures depression or it cures cancer. But it aided with my healing so much. But you also must be willing to heal. I also started understanding the concept of self-love. And I started cutting off all these distractions and drinking. And I decided to face my biggest fear, which was loneliness. I would sit in silence with myself and force myself to be okay being by myself. And I realized that self-love was not what I thought it was. Self-love was not taking a run. It was not buying clothes online. It was not doing your hair. It was not going for massages, but self-love was more than that. Self-love is facing your inner demons and your fears. Self-love is loving yourself even when you know you're broken. Self-love is looking at your mistakes and debunking it. So why did I act a certain way? Maybe because I was afraid to be alone. And why was I afraid to be alone? Maybe because I don't love myself enough to be comfortable being alone. And self-love is cutting off anything that is not good for you. I used to go out with anyone, even if I hated all of them. But I knew that I all along had friends that were super toxic for me. But I didn't want to go home and be by myself because, I'm afraid that I'll have no one to hang out with. But now my close friend is limited to like 6 friends, and people might think that I'm a loner. But I like to think that I value quality friends over quantity friends. And before we move on to our next segment, I would like to pose 2 questions to you guys. So what is your passion and where do you see yourself in 5 years? You can scan the code.
Done. We'd like to call for people who are brave enough to share your passion and win yourself something. Yeah. So who wants? You want to share? Yes.
I'll ask.
Passion.
Actually, I'm so much interested in counseling, social work and counseling. And to be specific, I would love to, I don't know whether there is actually such a position even available, but I really love to be a counselor in a palliative care hospice. Specifically for the palliative, near
Yeah.
and near
Near-death.
death patients, clients, or the family members. Because quite a lot of them I have seen it's really nice that Daughters of Tomorrow has arranged for the session, and Workshop is doing a really, wonderful job. Very thankful to this. Yet if you look at it on the other side, my heart really bleeds that we are doing so much towards those who are, alive or moving around. In the past, I was actually working in a nursing home. So there are quite many patient seniors who are actually, bedridden. I can literally see that they don't even get any visitors or anything, and I have never stepped into any palliative care or hospice care, but I have a hunch if those in nursing home are having as little socializing or human interaction, it can be, I don't want to say this out loud, but a bit worse in palliative care. So my heart really goes out to them.
So your passion is to be in this space, working with these, patients,
Yeah, a
engage
counselor,
them,
yes.
and then make their life, at least
Get
it's
them to
quality.
understand, because death is something that we all fear, because there is this question of uncertainty. So a person who is dying obviously can have, quite anxious. So I really want to, tell them it's okay, you are moving towards another stage, and I don't know how to explain, but I really want to do my part to help them to elevate or at least minimize their anxiety.
Yeah, thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that, Thank you for sharing. Anyone else? Okay, great.
Hi guys, that's me again. So like I told you guys that when I was 14 I joined this GP, right? These beautiful people. And we have this camp called Dare to Dreams. So that is where I achieve my goal. I set up my goals and then achieve that. The goals that I planned was a high risk goal, which is working life lah. So I work on board ship, I work in construction line, I'm a safety officer. So as I can understand your situation whereby drinking and drunk, and that has happened to me, whereby I work full time, I study part time, at night I go party, and the next morning I go back to work, not going home. Yeah, as you can see, that's why I don't know, my sister don't know about my life lah. Because she married, I have my own world, because after my mom passed on, I become rebel. So yeah, again, I
I can say back 5 years ago, I told myself I'm going to be a seafarer. But 5 years ago, already a seafarer. Now I'm a happy mom. 5 years down the road, I'm going to be a mother that I'm going to support my daughter whatever she wants to do.
Oh, thank you.
In case you are wondering why on bird ship, because I want to run away from my sister, my father, and everybody.
Yeah.
I'm so tired of them.
Thank you. That touches my heart so much. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
Can we go for last round, Sharon?
Oh, sure.
I'm moved by. Okay, I'm gonna try again.
Oh, don't cry.
I'm moved by your story. The age of you going through with your mom, the journey that she has, go through it, see you there. My mom didn't get to see. The picture that you have the courage to show that you passed out, you know, the night that you have. I could feel her, some mother, worried about her child, wandering off there with God knows who or what will happen to you. My passion now, back then, it's still the same. I'm with PP. And throughout my journey there, they are the family because right after my mom or before my mom was, you know, you thought that, you know, your point was correct. Like you wanted to find, you don't want to be lonely. That was what I am. I'm putting everyone's needs just because that they will see me because nobody see me. Like if you don't do something to get their attention, I get my mom's attention in many ways. I try to be the best student. I taught my studies. I do whatever she wants, you know, and just to get the attention of her. Side story: I have 10 siblings. I'm the eldest one, and I'm the only Chinese daughter. So. My passion is to teach someone, to love. I have this care for kids, you know. I want to be the guidance for other people out there. But if I don't get to be a teacher now, like to children, I want to be a person who can share and, you know, relate to the story of their life. And this, like, how you say it, you know, the turnaround, they are not alone. Different people, they face off different challenges in life. But how you overcome them, be it in alcohol ways, you know, you smoke cigarettes, you take drugs. I've been through. I've been in prison. Nobody visited me because my mom wasn't around. But who came and picked me up? Nobody. I sleep in the staircase when I was pregnant because I was homeless. I was being dumped by a roommate. You know what God made me up? It was BP. Dora was the one who visited me. When I had my first child, I gave birth. She was there, and like all these BP people, they are there for me. They see the journey. I may not be like 24/7 contacting them. I feel you. Like 5 years, where am I seeing? Like I say in the app, I say I'm not sure where am I because my fear now is about my daughter. What if I drown myself in this depression or what anxiety that you get through? But she herself, my mom, is scared. Like, where am I? How my children gonna be? If she has enough stuffing, clothes, money for the future, that's what I'm thinking for 5 years now. Like, I'm struggling to do the best like I can because I'm not sure. Am I gonna be still around? I didn't know how you feel back then because you know you're being rejected by all the doctors and secretaries or whatever counselor that you already your mom tried to help you. I never felt the rejection because I had this counselor and then I talked to people around and then I thought of like, oh, I had one kid and then she starts screaming at me and looking at, what were you doing? Why are you crying? Why are you being mad? So I think like talking on behalf of your mom as well, and I'm also talking on behalf of you. Probably,
Come give me a hug.
I'm not sure where am I going to be in the 5 next year.
But what thing I jealous is your graduation actually. Because the day that I graduated, my mom was admitted after operation, and 2 days later she's passed on. And she's supposed to be there with me for my graduation.
I got one thing to say. She's talking about her daughter, but I tell you,
she raised such a beautiful daughter. If you look at Intan, so well behaved, so polite, you know. So you're doing a great job.
Being a great mother is the most important thing.
Thank you all for sharing. It's really very valuable. I think, you know, this is really a session where, you know, we share and we teach each other, we learn from each other. Thank you so much for the sharing. Thank you. You want to leave? Okay, you can go on.
Okay, so my turn. For me, my story of finding my passion wasn't direct or easy. And selling crystals was never my original plan. I actually had many business ideas. So when I was in primary school, I used to do origami because I really like doing arts and crafts. And I would sell them to my primary school classmates. And honestly, I don't know why they would spend $1 on folded paper, but I felt like I was scamming these young kids with like paper crates. But anyway. Yeah, so my first legit business idea was to actually design and sell poker cards. That's because I really like graphic designing. And as you could tell from the fake church poster that I showed you guys just now, I also really like gambling because I like winning money. And I also like to illustrate storybooks because I like storytelling. So from my interests, my strengths, and multiple business ideas, I started to piece out a whole new business concept that I found deep passion in, which is ameliorated crystals. I used my hobby in arts and craft to design crystal bracelets, as you can see here. And I used my interest in graphic designing and storytelling to design the storybooks that came along with the bracelets. And the most important thing, I used my experiences and my stories to form the purpose of my business, which is inspiring healing through elegance. And here comes the big question. How do you find your passion? I strongly believe that everyone here in this room has a purpose. You don't necessarily need to be an entrepreneur. You could be an employee, a parent, a student, a mom, a teacher, and you can still find your passion. And like what I said, finding your passion isn't as straightforward. I went through so many business ideas, experiences, jobs, just to find what I truly resonated with. But here are 3 ways, which is hobbies. So these are activities you like doing, but you have to like doing it for a long time. So take this for instance, I actually like driving a lot, but I know that I can't sit through a 6 p.m. jam without breaking down. You have to like doing it for a very long time. Interest. So these are feelings and desires to learn more about subjects with the potential to become activities. So for example, if you have an interest in creative writing, the ongoing process of writing can also be considered a hobby. And most importantly, embarking on your rough idea. I believe that everyone here has a rough idea on your passion. But you guys are so afraid of embarking on it because of uncertainty, of judgment. But I strongly encourage you to embark on yours now. Because if you don't, your rough idea will always be a rough idea. But if you do, and it doesn't turn out like how you wanted it to be, it's okay, because it will take you to a step closer to finding your true passion. My initial poker cards business idea didn't work, but it paved the way to my business now. And from what I experienced, I also realized the most important thing is to heal. Back in the time, I was faced with so many distractions and pain that I couldn't see things clearly. I wasn't able to understand myself. But healing is an ongoing process. As we heal, we understand ourselves deeper. And many people think once you're healed, life is a piece of cake. Everything will be easy. But what a lot of people don't know is not everyone is 100% healed. And to be honest, as I'm standing here, talking to all of you guys, my anxiety is killing me. But I've gotten a lot better because I used to be unable to order food and drinks at a restaurant. because I was so afraid that the service staff would judge me. But now, as I'm talking to you guys here, honestly, it's not so bad. I still have anxiety from time to time. And to me, healing can start from facing your traumas, being friends with your traumas, acknowledging and accepting your traumas, loving them because they make you who you are today. I would like to also share a quote with you. You can't find your passion thinking about it in your head. And before we end the session, I'd like to invite you guys to draw a card each on this deck. So it's a personal message on the cards. You guys can scan the QR code and then the message will be reflected on your phone and then you can put it back. So, yeah.
Okay, I think one by one, you know why? Sorry, one by one, so that you can draw back the same. Sorry, one by one. You know why? Okay, let me just explain to you. Explain. So you have the card, right? You got the card. Then you scan the QR code. Let me just show everyone, yeah? So you just scan the QR code on this, and then it will give you the full message of this card that you draw. Okay? So you scan already, then you put it back. Then the next person will draw. I think we have to just
Okay.
Yeah. We'll just shuffle the card so everybody will have a chance to draw, and it really depends on your
Message of the day.
yes. And then you can scan, and then you can, even if you want to take a picture to remember this message, and take it as a reminder, you can do so. Let me just pass around, then later we can. Thank you so much. So you got your card ready? We put it back. Okay, come, let's go by the, just shuffle it, yeah? It's just very instinctive. Yeah, then you.
Is it like tarot card reading?
No, this is the
Oracle card.
Oracle.
It's more straightforward.
Yeah, so you just ignore.
We can screenshot, right? Yeah, after that.
Yeah, you can. So you got the number already? Yeah, that's the thing. City. Hi. Just scan it. Save the message. That's the message for you. Is it the right one? Yep. Okay. Who wants to draw? Okay. I think I zoom into the QR code.